What's up YouTube, Byrdman here with another Outriders build. Today we're going to be doing awesome Devastator support build that uses the Marshal set. Now we haven't used the Marshal set in a couple weeks, just print out the fact that it's got some weird synergies, kind of like forces us to go into endless mass, but we were able to find some better synergies from our previous build a couple weeks ago, so wanted to show this off. But before I get into the video, let you know I'm more likely streaming on Twitch right now, twitch.tv/Byrdman778. Catch me every single day starting at noon Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you're also giving a thumbs up on this video, subscribing, and possibly becoming a member. We might be swapping over to YouTube here soon for our streaming, so be one of those first members, help us out. And then also find me over on Twitter, twitter.com/Byrdman778 for some super subpar tweets and bad takes. Now, let's get right on into the video. Now, I mentioned that this is a support Devastator build, so this isn't going to be one where you're going to be probably getting the most damage every single time that you use this, but it's going to not only help yourself out by boosting anomaly damage, and it's also going to help boost anomaly damage for your teammates as well. Now, before we get into kind of the nitty-gritty, let's talk about what weapons we're using for this build. First off, I'm using a Thunderbird. This looks like a master tool, but luckily because of the transmog system, which I absolutely love, we were able to swap it up. But this Thunderbird has Ultimate Storm Whip. Obviously, that's the base perk on it, giving us that 100k damage every couple seconds whenever we hit a shot. This will actually scale up a lot because of our anomaly damage. That's been a question on a lot of YouTube videos. As you see me shooting with this build, you're going to be noticing that whenever that Storm Whip hits, it's going to hit between 120,000 to 150,000 versus what it shows here on the card where it's 100,000. So again, you're always going to get that bit of a boost there. But we also added Fortress on it to kind of help with that boost. Shots increase current armor resistances by 5% and stacks up to 3 times, while whenever it hits its full stack, you get that additional damage bonus. So this is really nice all around, kind of helps us out with just damage, but it also helps boost our armor, which is then going to change around with some perks that we have within our skill tree. But for our second one, we have the Anemoy. I have it looking like a Death Shield with Moaning Winds and Radiation Splash for that just big old chunky damage. Again, another thing that just scales up the higher that we get our anomaly damage, and then the more anomaly damage bonuses that we get on people with things such as Despair. Now, to talk about our armor and what mods we're using, first off, we're using that Marshal set. I'm using the headpiece with Wide Horizons, which gives us our endless mass at extra range, and then double jump for our gravity leap, making sure we get an extra use of it. This is really nice just because, again, I have been noticing some consistencies while inconsistencies with the Despair. So again, guys, go out there, test, tell me what you're seeing. Again, I've heard from some content creators who are like, oh yeah, it stacks every single time. And I'm like, no, that's not true. It's not every single time. There is times where I notice it does stack, but you essentially, I think, have to get it almost immediately before the resistance of certain enemies activates. So I don't know, let me know what you're seeing. But regardless, we like to use that double jump for that double stacking or just an extra use of gravity leap all around. Next up, we're using the Marshal's armor. This one's got high intensity, so we're getting that extra anomaly damage, 33% for 5 seconds against targets inflicted by endless mass, and then obviously Despair for that ×2 damage of anomaly to enemies afflicted by gravity leap. Again, this will be really nice as well, just because even if it doesn't double stack on one target, you can at least like hit one kind of base of enemies with it, and then move to a different base and then be afflicted with that as well. And then finally, we have Marshal's Waistcloth with power assimilation. So it boosts our anomaly power by 11,000 for each elite present on the battlefield. So maps like Frontline are going to be great for this. Anytime there's a bunch of alphas out there, so things like Time War Inspire is a great one as well. Again, you're just going to be getting a huge boost to anomaly power while you have that out. And then also Tainted Blood for that increased damage to bleeded targets by 25%. But let's talk about the Marshal set, exactly what makes it good. Endless Mass pulls enemies and causes 4 of them to share 40% anomaly damage and 30% weapon damage for 5 seconds. So essentially, this is giving Endless Mass that kind of ultimate damage link ability all around, making sure that whenever enemies are being afflicted by it, they're going to be taking that extra damage. You're going to be able to notice because there's going to be kind of those like red blood trails that are going to be connected between the inflicted target and then the extra ones around their area. So yeah, again, there's a visual cue there for you, so you're going to be able to notice which ones are being inflicted. Next up, I got some purple gloves. I made sure to get anomaly damage and cooldown reduction. We have close range damage, which kind of helps out with our weapon damage, but again, this is a more anomaly focused build. We're not really worrying about that. So if you can get something like status power, that'd probably be a lot better for you. But the ones I have ground crush for that extra earthquake damage and blood shock. Now, blood shock is one that you can swap in and out of if you're wanting to use maybe extra quake instead. I just like using blood shock just to make sure that all my enemies are inflicted with bleed. Whenever they're inflicted with bleed, I'm going to make sure I'm getting health back for that. So that's just an extra like little good perk to have for your survivability more than anything. And then finally, we got some purple boots, anomaly, cooldown, status power, perfect roll on these. With second quake, I added onto it, and then untamed power. Now, I really like untamed power because as we boost up our anomaly power, this will actually scale up as well. I've gotten all the way up to 100,000 extra damage per use of any type of skill. So that's using earthquake, that's using endless mass, that's using gravity, that's punching. All those different things will activate untamed power and make sure that you're getting that extra damage around you. So this is really great for, especially when you're kind of in those like absolutely surrounded scenarios with a bunch of enemies on you. For our skills, we're obviously using Earthquake, Endless Mass, and Gravity Leap. Again, bread and butter. You have to have all three of these. If I had to take out one skill though, it'd probably be Earthquake for like maybe like Boulder Dash. But again, I feel as though this build kind of requires these three to really succeed. And finally, for our skill tree, we're going to be obviously going bottom tree for this, grabbing all of these anomaly reservoirs across the bottom here. We're grabbing both these endless tremors here and here for the extra 30% cooldown to our seismic abilities, that being Earthquake. Grabbing 2 rejuvenations just to make sure that we're getting a bunch of extra healing. You probably could skip this rejuvenation right here and go into something else, maybe like an extra bleed duration right there, something like that. But if you just want to really cap out your survivability, make sure you're doing that. Perpetual motion's a big one for us as well. Make sure our gravity leap is getting used more often, as well as our endless mass. So just a really nice perk to have. Anomaly bullets is going to be great because we're going to be constantly increasing our anomaly power. So having that kind of push into firepower is really nice, kind of benefit our Thunderbird, just getting that little bit extra damage out of it as much as we humanly can. Stone Circle to extend the distance considered to close range. It's going to work for our armor pieces that have close range bonuses onto them, but we like it a lot because through the mob increase the armor by 7% for each enemy within close range. So again, high armor constantly. So we're also going to go into Strong Arm of the Law just to make sure that we get some extra melee damage. Remember that melee damage scales off of anomalies, so the more melee damage you have, the more meleeing you're doing, the better off you are. And also it helps activate Untamed Power like we mentioned before. So the more you activate that, the more extra damage you're getting just kind of exploded around you. We also want to go into things like Executioner just so we get extra damage to enemies below 30% health. And we want both these bloodbaths for some extra damage to bleeding targets. A lot of armor coming out protected by the anomaly just because it scales off of our anomaly power. Skilled Sentry, increase armor by 20% and resistances by 20% for 10 seconds when the skill ends. We're constantly doing that with literally all three of our skills, and that includes using our melee, so we're always holding on that high resistance and high armor. And then finally, Earth's Heritage to make sure Earthquake is just doing some stupid damage. Thank you so much for stopping by this video. Hope you guys really enjoyed this really cool support build. I was using this earlier over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Byrdman778. Make sure you're going over there and showing some love. Make sure you're also showing love here on YouTube, youtube.com/Byrdman778. Give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Those are like the 2 biggest things you can do. They're free to do. They help me out a lot. And also, becoming a member helps me out a lot. If we hit 10 people that become a member on the channel, I'm giving away a copy of Outriders. Make it known right here. If you watch this far into the video, you'll know that if you become a member, you have a chance at winning Outriders. So, and then again, follow me over on Twitter, twitter.com/Byrdman778. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a great night, day, whatever it may be.